Gagnant du Buhurt Prime Monaco. Et une dernière fois, chers spectateurs, on fait du bruit pour tous ces combattants qui vous ont offert un magnifique spectacle. Et on les applaudit bien fort. C'était le Buhurt Prime 2019 in Monaco.
So we go now to Bear Cubs versus Ursus Custodes, the Russian club versus the Spanish club, and all straight in there. You see that, as you saw before, the speed of Ursus Custodes could be crucial to this, but of course there's a lot of aggression from the Bear Cubs side, and there's already a takedown there, and they seem to do very well to stay up there. I wasn't sure if a knee made contact with the ground there. And you can see how the Bear Cubs show a lot of aggression and very, very precise hits. It's a nice movement and teamwork there. But again, a lot of aggression coming there. Great move from the Custodes fighter. You can see they spin away from the list quite effectively. I think that will be although you've got one taken down there. That seems to be in some, and yet the fighter's gone down. Very decisive work from the Bear Cubs. And it's been stopped momentarily, so that the fighter can get some medical attention. But in the bottom corner, the fight has been stopped. Bear Cubs, decisive, as we've seen in the tournament. You've got two fighters getting medical attention there. However, one seems to be okay, whereas on the other side, the marshals are actually discussing whether or not a foot was hit. It appears to be. It seems to be a foot injury that the fighter has sustained. This, of course, can come from falling badly. Well, it'll give the fighters a few moments to regain their strength in preparation for the next round. We've got a lot more people and the spectators who are still quite close to the list. They transcend only a couple of meters from the list, but there's plenty of room for the medics to get in, so he will be stretchered off, it seems. Once again, the rapid response medics who are featured in all the major HMB tournaments. Well, it appeared to be right foot that the Spanish fighter was in some discomfort with. The marshals now discussing it with the Bear Cub fighters. And there you can see the lineup for the finals. Teams from Russia, Spain, Poland, France, the Netherlands, and of course Belarus. All of these teams featuring in the major tournaments, not only next. Looks like the Bear Cubs have started a new recruitment program. Well, there's a young talent there. Sign her up. And again, just a brief moment before the restart. I believe, in fact, the marshals are making a decision on whether or not there was an illegal strike, and yeah, it seems to it is to the right foot of the Spanish fighter. However, we are ready for the start of the next fight, and as you can see, in fact, one of the Bear Cubs fighters has been penalised for that strike to the foot, which caused injury. Therefore, the Bear Cubs start with 4, and the Ursus Custodes have gallantly opted to also start with 4, showing great sportsmanship there. However, the Bear Cubs are capitalising, and so a lot of people would actually like to take advantage of those numbers. It's very sportsmanlike of them, but it's given, of course, the Bear Cubs a very fast win. So, through to the next round go the Bear Cubs.
Buhurt Next 2020, the very first edition of Buhurt Next, and unfortunately Team Ursus Custodes, so that means your tournament is over for the moment. How do you feel about your team performance in general?
Ha sido un combate muy duro y al final es un equipo muy fuerte y hemos querido combatir con ellos en igualdad de condiciones.
All of they are very strong teams, so we try to do our best, but it's very difficult with this level.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, for your participation. Are you going to participate tomorrow in the tournament as well? No. So just Buhurt Next. So hope to see you maybe.
So we now go to the next fight, which is Poldnazi and Martell, who have the support there. This is a careful start, and Martell, well known for solid starts, but they've broken away from that and already to one side. Some great movement, however, from the Martell fighters, who catches one of the the strength of the Polish fighter was not quite enough. Held off the fast Martell fighter for a moment, but it wasn't enough. It's all one side of the list now. Looks like the Martell fighters have got a grip on these Poldnazi fighters. And they've travelled a long way for this. But Martell do have some support. There's a great strike and kick there. That thrust that came in the side. Popular side with the Polish teams. And Martell do have an advantage, but with everything locked in at the list, there'll be some spent energy. So some good strikes and nice teamwork from this Martell team. They've done very well to get this far. Of course, we're in Buhurt Prime in 2019. Again, good teamwork, and I know now they're using the spare fighter to much more effect, and that's great footwork from the French fighter to withhold that attack from behind. Things have started to break away a bit, but Martell do seem to have a better grip on Legenda Poldnazi. Now some heavier strikes as the Martell fighters wear down and the Masters are calling a break in that clinch. And he's taken a knee. So now Martell with a big advantage. Although one fighter escapes to retrieve another weapon, the other Martell fighters have thought better of separating from their teammates. And there's still good work from these Polish fighters who now managed to pull away, but there's a very, very solid stance, and Martell are going to have to work very hard if they're to bring them down. So to go down there, and still Martell with a good advantage. But you can see this is quite a long round. It's taken quite a lot out of them. Again, well aimed shots. So nice aggression shown by the Martell fighter. So with some of those shots, may be able to break away the adversary, or split them apart at least, which they have done. The Martell fighter coming between those two mates, so it'll be hard to put them out. So there's a armor failure there, which means that round goes to a superb Martell. Well, Martell really showing their strength and teamwork, and again always with that slower start. They prefer to walk it in rather than rush it. However, they've been met with some great force from these Legenda Poldnazi fighters. And there's some good work already, and the Martell fighter managing to get a superb takedown, which you couldn't quite see, but it gives them the advantage. Now needing to move quickly on these Legenda Poldnazi fighters, attached to the list fairly well, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to prize them off, especially with the energy spent in the first round. However, we do have some big, strong Martell fighters there. They've broken away, so this could be some problems for the Poldnazi fighter, who has managed to get back to the list. And that's some good teamwork. There's a great takedown. Well, excellent work from Martell. And that they look now to get the final takedown here. Some big strikes coming down, however. This is good from Martell. That's nice work. He's slightly wearing at times now. Good teamwork, and this should get a takedown there. That's good work, and that has been called. That's a nice call there. The Marshall pulling the fighter's weight and grounding the Poldnazi fighter. Having the last ones there, some big support from the crowd. But still a full Martell team. Still not managing to get down this Legenda Poldnazi team, but it looks like that may have been the last fighter there, and a big victory there for Martell.
So that means that Buhurt next for you is over.
Yes.
So how do you feel about your team performance?
I feel very good. We did the best we can, but we must say about this tournament it's not very well prepared, because the ground is not very well prepared. Some of our fighters tripped because of some ropes on the ground, stuff like that. So it's a little bit harsh for us because we lose a fight in the groups because of stuff like that. So this is a little bit, we think, not good for us.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Thank you for participation. So we get back to fight.
Carcassonne now against Yenisei, and this should be a superbly aggressive fight. You can see already some great movement in the centre and big strikes coming in. And Yenisei having some trouble with the agility of Carcassonne at the moment. However, already two fighters appear to be grounded. And you can have to admire the athleticism of the Carcassonne fighters. But they've been locked into the lists at the moment. So, of course, very aware of what's happening around them. Of course, you'll have the Carcassonne fighters doing a lot to make use of all the space that they have, and Yenisei will need to keep their eyes open. Two more have gone to the ground there. Carcassonne enjoying some support, but this is a very even fight so far. And good movement from all teams, however, taking the opportunity to hold the list. And of course, the Carcassonne fighter has lost his weapon there. There's a Carcassonne fighter down. Well, good work there from Yenisei, who now do have an advantage. Of course, the Carcassonne fighter has now been down to one, so that is it. First solid round to Yenisei. Well, it was very even for some time there, so Carcassonne can't be too disappointed with that. It was a close fight in itself. And it didn't appear to be, from what we saw anyway, any tactical errors on their part. But Yenisei, they kept their awareness at the high peak, so they were ready for these short bursts by the Carcassonne fighters. So a few changes for both of the teams. But without further ado, get into round two, and Yenisei with an early break. And naturally, they'll try to work Carcassonne down as quickly as possible. Early charges coming from the Yenisei fighters, who are making use of the runners. Again, more good movement. And they can't quite connect, although they do start with some aggressive strikes. And of course, Carcassonne have the loose fighter in the middle, so nobody down yet. A breakaway, however, from the Yenisei fighter, trying to take use of space. There's a great charge that comes in there, superb. Well, it takes great strength to withstand that. Of course, there were two charges, one from either team. Well, Yenisei fighter taking a lot of damage there, but he's got under control, and the teammates have come to the aid, and they've got one of the Carcassonne fighters down. So a considerable size difference between the two fighters there. So they've got all that weight on them, so the NSA will have another fighter down. This is very, very well fought. Smart fighting there from the NSA, good teamwork. We've got one fighter wedged in the corner there, and they need to move away. They're piled up. And there's a Constellation which goes down there. It's a good comeback from the Carcassonne fighter. Well, it goes to show you can never doubt Carcassonne. Good aggression there, breaks away from that fighter in the corner very well, straight on the attack. There's good counter-attack from Carcassonne. So they've got two of the NSA fighters down. It's 3 versus 2. Well, as soon as the NSA seemed to be in control of the fight, Carcassonne came right back into it. Well, that's good movement in the middle here. However, footing will become difficult. There are some grounded Carcassonne fighters. But it looks like they are down to 1, so that is a victory there for Yenisei. Well, superb performance also from Carcassonne, who, as I just mentioned, came right back into that fight, very even. So, good victory out for Yenisei. Well, this promises to be a superb fight. Lions of Steel of the Netherlands versus C.R.M of Belarus. And you can see two very, very big teams. C.R.M, now of course of Club Bern. There's a great charge from the Lions of Steel there. A very, very strong team. Quite tentative apart from the halberdier on the side there, and of course the Lions are still exactly the right thing to do there, charge in and not wait back for the halberdier, but to get in as close as possible, although with the experience of the C.R.M fighters, they'll know how to also work in close combat. It's an interesting move, and over in the middle the Lions of Steel fighters trying to hold in the C.R.M fighters as well as possible, and of course his axe is caught on his tabard. There's a nice charge there from the C.R.M halberdier with two big fighters, and I get a feeling that this is going to be a long round. And they're a very big team, the Lions of Steel, but all seem to be locked in on the list at the moment. Again, you can see the halberdier is not able to use his weapon in that clinch, and so he'll have to wait for the loose fighter who will be able to come in for assistance at some point. Very evenly matched so far. Not a lot between these two teams, although can see there still a lot of close quarter fighting. And last movement is actually stretched out there. I wonder if this will be a key point in in the fight now that it will be more difficult to make use of teamwork. Again, still very even. Well, that's some good movement. It's still anyone's fight at this point. Good movement and aggression shown, however, by both teams. Of course, the C.R.M fighters with that one-man advantage at this point, but have all broken it back into the middle of the list. So a reset for them. And in that formation as they are, with C.R.M so compact like that, now that they're around their own fighters so that they can try to work down the two lines of steel there. It's split out once again. It's interesting how the space changes through this round. And I think the first signs of tiredness are starting to show. However, some great strikes coming from the C.R.M fighter. Well, I mentioned tiredness, but there's no sign of it there. So a great strike there. They might have even caught the lines of steel fighter quite low as he bowed his head. So C.R.M in full control of this fight at this point. Oh, that's a great strike, wearing down a fighter's. Outstanding work from the C.R.M fighters to grind down the lines of steel and to take that first round victory. Well, breaking away from the clinches was good for them, and those huge strikes were able to take down this big lines of steel team.
Has just lost to Yenisei, the youngest team of the tournament, and that means that the Buhurt next is over for you. So how do you feel about your performance? You could do better, or do you think that you were at your best?
Definitely, we are sad to stop the competition right here. But no, Carcassonne is a far great team than we performed today. It's just not a very good time for us, but we keep as a strong group of people, and we'll train hard, and we'll come back at the real level that we can expect.
Great, thank you very much for your time and your participation. Wish you the very best in the next season. So let's get back to fights.
Oh, great words there from the Carcassonne team. Of course, we have seen a lot more from them in the past. But right now, we are into round 2 of Lines of Steel against C.R.M. And I think it's going to be very much a case of the Lines of Steel trying to break away that close formation that C.R.M. had, which they used to surround the fighters being attacked. And again, some more movement as thrusting into the list. But I think if the Lines of Steel keep a closer formation, I think they'll be more effective, because they do have a formidable size. So to put that strength together in numbers, as you can see the C.R.M fighters are doing, of course with the exception of the runner in the middle. So a big charge there, but it's against the list, so spent energy. Great strikes coming into the leg of the Lines of Steel fighter. C.R.M now with 2 fighters surrounding him. That's a great takedown there, good teamwork. Well, not much the Lines of Steel could have done about that. But again, I think staying in close to each other would be better for them at this point. Once again, very spread out. And as you can see, C.R.M fighters the more aggressive. And the arrival of another halberdier is going to spell problems for the Lines of Steel fighter. And that is called. Victory, therefore, for C.R.M.
guys, here with us is Mike Lannes, the captain of the Lions of Steel team from Netherlands, and we just watched you fight with a very tough opponent, the Stewart team. So how do you feel?
Amazing, actually. I really like to watch them always because I think they're a really energetic team. So I really love watching them. It was the first opportunity for me to really fight them, so it was great. Today was tough. We only won one match, so we have to train harder and do our best next time. So.
Yeah, so you're in the quarterfinals of Buhurt next. Are you satisfied with the results? Are you satisfied with the results?
No, of course not, because everybody wants to win it or end up on top, and we didn't. So there was a lot to improve ourselves. We're all young guys, and we have enough time to keep improving, so that's nice.
So what is your main goal for the next season of Buhurt League?
I think that we want to aim for to get to Buhurt Prime in Monaco. That would be great. But we will see.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time and for your participation. See ya.
Now we rejoin Buhurt next for the first semi-final of Bear Cubs versus Yenisei. Of course, both these teams from Bern, and were ruthless in the quarterfinals. Bear Cubs defeating Ursus Custodes, and Yenisei defeating the French team Carcassonne. And of course Bern do have some of the top teams in the world, such as Bearpaw and old friends who you'll see at Buhurt Prime, but of course that is not to take anything away from the formidable speed and strength of clubs such as Bear Cubs and Yenisei. So we get underway, and despite being from the same club, we certainly won't go easy on each other, and not at this stage at a tournament like Buhurt next. There was a superb charge there, great speed from these Bern fighters. Well, really tense at the moment, but they often go for those high grabs. They're not always effective, so the high strikes are favoured. The Bear Cubs perhaps the more aggressive. But all in all, nice movement from both teams, neither able to break the deadlock at the moment, with 5 fighters still standing. However, there's a lot of pressure being put down on the Bear Cub fighter there. I just got unable to see. I think something will be broken up there. Of course, as was mentioned by one of the fighters, it's quite a difficult surface to fight on. However, this does give them the opportunity to break up slightly and make use of the space they have available. So Yenisei with a fighter down, Bear Cubs with an advantage. Backing away a fair bit. I'm not sure that's going to be too wise. Obviously they do have to be careful not to strike their own fighters. Actually, Bear Cubs do have those poor shields. Very evenly matched so far. I think the use of the halberd might come in handy at this point. It's very useful to have that halberd when things start to slow down, when clinches form. And you can see there the Backup fighter striking down on the leg armour of the Yenisei fighter, both down to 4 fighters each, so again, very, very evenly matched. Once again, I think we're going to see some more breakaways. Oh, that's some good work there. So manages to take away the footing of that Yenisei fighter. So the Bear Cub fighter, excuse me. This is good work from Yenisei. You can see how far down they're leaning into it, but there's good coverage from their opponents. As well, Yenisei, it seems, are further in control of this fight now that they are down. Now that Bear Cubs are down to 2 fighters. But that's a great takedown there, and that will be called. Good, resounding first round victory for Yenisei. Well, very energetic fight. Of course, that's what you would expect at this level, but they've been fighting all day, so understandably tired at this point. So, a couple of changes before the second round. Yenisei with their advantage. And I wonder if these Bear Cubs will be able to come back into it. Certainly what we saw in the quarterfinals was very, very aggressive fighting from them. Therefore, I certainly wouldn't rule out a comeback from them. Of course, it'll make it very exciting. Difficult, however, as many of these fighters will no doubt have trained before, taken part in events before. And they're both with a very similar starting lineup. Not showing the same speed this time, perhaps a bit more wary with giving away too much space to the opponent. There is a loose fighter who takes his time before choosing where to strike. Of course, he's watched by his opponent. And the fighter's in the corner trying to get a lift. The size of the mat's going to be difficult. Good evening match. It's a nice breakaway, however. A good counter strike. Looks like that is a grounded fighter there. Maybe suspected loose armour. The non-martial calling it to continue. Well, Yenisei looking slightly stronger, but it's very, very even still. Again, I think they need to get closer to each other to take advantage of exactly as he did then, some teamwork. And you can see certain parts of it, but from that angle it's going to be very difficult unless they both go for the legs to get the fighter down. Movement has opened up, but it's not as effective as it could have been. However, that's a nice pull down there. It's great teamwork. So Yenisei still with 5 fighters who are looking to wear down these Bear Cubs. Again, nice movement. So a good switch, however, and fighter evaded the grapple quite well. However, he was only into the path of the next fighter. Great takedown there. While taking the fighter off balance, very good. An attempted trip there, not quite engaging. A superb takedown there. A big charge on the back, and it is evened out. Well, that was great. Careless of the fighter, standing in the middle, knowing how well the opponents were spaced out, how Bear Cubs were spaced out. And he left himself vulnerable to that and paid the price. And once again, it is even. However, some really close moves here, and they're very close to being out there. I'm not actually sure if the fighter had both his feet out. The marshal has stopped it, or at least called a break. And yeah, the NSO fighter has been declared as out of the list. So, Bear Cubs now with the advantage for the first time. There's some huge strikes that have come down there. The main fact, of course, an injury there, but Bear Cubs walk away with a victory for that round. Well, the NSA fighter took some serious damage in those final strikes, so we'll have some attention from the medics. It seems that the fighter's okay, just took a bit of damage and needs an ice pack. Of course, he saw how big those strikes were that came down. A few changes coming in, but I think there will be a restart for the third and final round imminently. Certainly the Night Marshal looks okay to start. Well, after it looked all over for the Bear Cubs, they came right back to take that second round. And certainly one of the more exciting fights that we've seen so far. Do have there a very, very slow start. And this happens sometimes when you get the Club teams facing each other. In the later rounds, they're quite tentative starts. Nothing's rushed, and of course, the fighter needs to be extremely careful, as we saw in the last round, where the fighter left himself open, of course, was charged. The NSA looking to sort of keep some of those loose backup fighters away. And there's not a lot of movement so far. And you have a slight breakaway. Well, the movement's certainly good. Now it's opened up a bit. Still loose fighters. And interesting attempted leg sweep there. Just came to nothing. The fighter was ready for it, but there's a size difference there. So if the fighter does get a lot of that weight down, it's going to be quite difficult. Right, good evasive skills there. So Yenisei now with a big advantage. All 5 of their fighters still standing. But it's a smooth takedown there. So Bear Cubs now down to the last 2 fighters. And Yenisei trying to save a bit of energy, as if they can finish off these 2 Bear Cubs, who, bear in mind, did come back from a disadvantage in the last round. And I think this one will be called. Outstanding. Yenisei move forward. well, what a fight this promises to be. Martell, who have had a stunning tournament, and of course have the home crowd behind them, as you can hear. They'll face a very well-organised and disciplined C.R.M team, certainly the best we've seen them in some time. And I wonder now if Martell are going to use the same tactics they used before. And they're of course using the advantage of the speed that they have. So far the aggression coming from the C.R.M fighters. Most of that Belarus has been very effective thus far, as we've seen in previous fights. I think the Martell fighters will try to open up, but they don't want to give too much space to the halberdiers. There's a nice movement there, and there's some aggression shown, and that is one Martell fighter down. Well, it's a great takedown there from the C.R.M fighters, who are taking control of this fight. A smooth hit there, great aggression shown from Martell. But the C.R.M fighters come back and they're taking down the Martell fighters one by one. A lot of strength and aggression shown by the C.R.M team, and the agility of Martell really being put to the test here. Superbly leaping through there. But that is the last fight, unfortunately, so the first round goes to C.R.M. Well, C.R.M keeping compact and working a lot with the halberdiers to great effect. Well, they're able to deal with the aggression of the Martell fighters, who I get the impression they will go for early burst in the next round, knowing that it could have been more effective in the first. I think it could have been. There's some minor medical attention for one of the Martell fighters. In any case, standing. And, it's okay, although he will be replaced for the second round. Well, there's been a bit of attention for minor injuries, but there's been nothing serious here. However, just to be sure, this fighter will receive further attention. Well, the Night Marshal ready to call the second round. And on one side, the Martell fighters are looking to burst out a bit more aggressively. However, on the other side, they're a little slower. And change of weapons, a great movement for the Martell fighter, who goes straight into the C.R.M fighter, but they're very, very solid on the legs. That's a nice work now, great teamwork there from the C.R.M fighters. You've got one Martell fighter in all kinds of trouble on the side. That's good vision for the Martell fighter to go and help his teammate. However, there's a huge amount of weight being put down on that French fighter. It looks like, yes, he is forced to take a knee. C.R.M with an early advantage. And looks like one of the marshals is indicating some sort of armor failure. And that will be broken up. And the break is called, and as you can see, yeah, there it is, there's the armor failure, so good vision by the marshal, and it was communicated quickly and efficiently. Okay. The fighter put down to ground now so that it may continue. C.R.M with an incredible 5 fighters against 2. They're putting down the last fighter. Superb victory there for C.R.M.
Where do I look?
So, I'm here with Benjamin from Team Martell, and they are going to fight soon for the 3rd place. So, do you expect to win?
Yes, we have to expect to win.
So,
we want to win.
which team you are going to fight?
It's NSA. We fight against them this morning and we lost. So we are going to try harder and win this time.
Okay, so, but if you lose,
Yes.
well, how do you think? Is it a good result for Martell for the moment to be in the semi-finals, to fight for the 3rd place?
Yes, it's always good to go on the top of the tournament. Even the 4th place, it's a good place. We are happy to have the 1st place, but 3rd is better.
Well, of course, the 3rd is better. So, how are you going to prepare yourself? Are you superstitious? Do you have any, I don't know, just rituals before the fight?
No, not really. Just drink some water and it's all going to be good.
And your captain isn't going to pronounce any motivating speeches for you?
A little, we try to motivate each other. Here we have the last fight we fight. We have one fighter who was hurt, so we have one less for the final fight. So we are going to do our best to... We have to fight, it's time, sorry.
Oh, it's time to fight. Let's get back to the list. Ну а теперь небольшой подарок для нашей русскоязычной аудитории. Со мной капитан команды Енисей Александр Клыков и капитан команды Сибры Евгений Баранов, которые вышли в финал турнира Buhurt сегодня в Лане, во Франции, и собираются сражаться друг против друга. Ребят, каково это? Евгений, что вы думаете по этому поводу?
Я думаю, что мы будем хорошо выступать, хорошо сражаться. Конечно, я думаю, что для нашего клуба это впервые, когда две команды клуба Берн выходят в финал и сражаются друг с другом. Я думаю, что мы открываем этим новую веку развития нашего клуба. Наши бои станут более динамичными, интересными. Зрители наконец-то будут понимать, кто на самом деле сильнее. И мы будем еще лучше развивать наше хобби, да.
Александр, кто победит, молодость или опыт?
Ну, посмотрим на ресталище. Мы будем очень стараться.
Победит клуб Берн. В этом уже точно уверены.
Александр, каково это ощущает сражаться в финале турнира сезона против мастодонтов движения практически?
Ну, классненько. Почти как на «Динамо». Ну, до этого турнира пришлось проделать большую работу, чтобы сюда вообще попасть. И, конечно, мы очень рады, что мы получили сюда приглашение и постараемся оправдать все ожидания, которые на нас возложили.
Супер, спасибо большое, ребят. Ну, увидим, это будет очень интересный поединок.
So we now await the start of the third place fight, the bronze medal of Buhurt next. It is Martell of France against Bear Cubs of Russia. And they're well rested, even though Martell had the last fight. They did have time to regain their energy, and I think they saved a fair bit in the last fight. They're still looking very agile, very, very aggressive. And you can see the formation of the Bear Cubs is slightly more compact, although they are being spread out quite a lot. You can see the Bear Cubs fighter who's loose but keeping the halberd. So you saw a great aggression coming from that Martell fighter, however. And wise to move back, not to fall into the reach of the halberd. Not so much conviction just yet, although the Bear Cubs fighters are managing to pull it in. There's a lot of weight coming down on the Martell fighter. It does have a lock on the grim, however the helmet's pulled right off, which wasn't intentionally, it's just the angle that the fighter is at. With that headlock, manages to get out. Well, great aggression shown from the Martell fighters. Moving here, could be in for a long one. Of course, the Martell runner not wanting to give away any space there and marking the position of the loose Bear Cubs fighter. We're waiting for that moment where he's in full concentration of that. However, there is a moment where it's called. Now there is an injury, which is so the fighter's being stopped. Well, the fighter does seem to be in some discomfort there. It's hard to see what's happening. It's always incredibly disappointing to get an injury in any event, but also at this stage it's such a crucially important fight. It looks as if the fighter will be stretched off. Well, again, difficult to see what exactly happened. Could have been a slip, falling badly. Of course, there are a lot of safety checks for the armour, so extremely unlikely. In fact, the Martell fighter has rolled off the stretcher, so it can only be a good sign. Again, these rapid response things have been fantastic. The fighter appears to be okay. We'll go for the once over as this fight gets back underway. Again, the speed of this Martell team is quite incredible. However, though, if another fighter's been dragged to the ground, well, they're facing some strength here, and as you can see, these Bear Cubs have taken advantage of that space, and that appears to be the round victory to the Bear Cubs. And there it is. Incredible work.
Давай, не стой, не стой, не стой, Минус, Влад. Смотри на шею. Смотри на шею. Дави, дави, голову наверх, Влад, дави. Вот, отдавливай. Так, ну что ты тут опять, больше на все тренировки отстоишь.
Bienvenue au Buhurt. On commence.
gagnant du Buhurt Prime Monaco. Et une dernière fois, chers spectateurs, on fait du bruit pour tous ces combattants qui vous ont offert un magnifique spectacle. Et on les applaudit bien fort. C'était le Buhurt Prime 2019 in Monaco.
So this is what it all comes down to. The final of Buhurt next, Yenisei versus C.R.M. Both teams from Club Bern. Yenisei, the Russian team, C.R.M, the Belarusian team. Yenisei in with an early start. And it's hard to predict who will come out the victor here, as the teams do know each other well. They've fought alongside each other, they've trained, so they'll be very aware of how they fight, not just from what they've seen today. They're both having a similar formation, but I still favour C.R.M with when they break off into skirmishes, they sort of surround and defend the fighters, and they've been clinical with the halberds thus far. You can see a very tense start. Still not wanting to give too much away. Some strikes, but I think something will have to give fairly soon. I think they're still not wanting to break away from each other and give away too much space there, although the Yenisei fighter might consider blocking off that C.R.M runner. On this side, still no change. There's a weapon, that might be the break that Yenisei have been looking for, although they don't capitalise on it, because the runner of C.R.M did have them covered in case of any burst, or they could have gained a couple of meters. So there's a lot more movement on the other side, however, now, and that's already one C.R.M fighter down. But a lot of aggression now showing from these NSA fighters. They've come out well. It's a great charge. Now this all change. Well, solid footwork from the C.R.M fighters. Now a very technical fight this, and you can see the timing and space is used very well, and that is another C.R.M fighter down for Yenisei with this early advantage, 5 versus 3. And they're breaking up into different corners, but Yenisei with a big advantage now. There's a charge, but the C.R.M fighter was waiting for good footwork. But still, the Yenisei fighters able to mark them in. Some movement though, and there was a slight risk there taken by the C.R.M fighter, who was stalked by the Yenisei fighter. And that looks like there's another C.R.M fighter down, so it is 5 versus 2. I can't see C.R.M getting back into this, and that looks like it's called. Resounding victory for Yenisei. Oh, that'll fill them with confidence going into this second round. Although there were a number of tense moments there, I felt that Yenisei perhaps didn't capitalise on a couple of moments. That said, they won the round with all 5 fighters standing. Lord Marshall calling the start of the second round. Yenisei C.R.M in this Buhurt next final. What a tournament it's been so far. Phenomenal teams, and really any of them could be fighting in Buhurt Prime next year. And that's a great takedown already from the C.R.M fighter. Unfortunately, maybe he wasn't on his knee, but it looks like the marshals are discussing it now, whether or not he did have his weight on the knee. It appears not. So, an early takedown for C.R.M. Yenisei holding back, and going for the trip there, not completing it. Again, C.R.M. very, very solid on their feet. There are occasions where you fear that they'll get tripped up, but despite the speed of the runner, they've had some very solid footwork. Now hemming the Yenisei fighters into the corner. Stuck for movement. This time the C.R.M fighters opting not to use the pole arms. And of course that will change their strategy substantially, and of course it's paid off dividends so far, as they have the 5-4 advantage in terms of numbers. Some spacing out. The Yenisei fighter managing to break free, but he's going to have to choose his battle carefully. C.R.M staying close with each other and see some good teamwork. We'll have to do some more of that to get that big Yenisei fighter from the list. Again, as already mentioned, these teams know each other very well. Of course, both from Club Bern in Russia. It's nice, but at the moment it's very evenly matched. You can see it staying like this for some time. But all it'll take is a breakaway, which we've seen from Yenisei in particular. The question is, of course, whether C.R.M can hold them in. And so far they're doing so. More good teamwork from C.R.M, and it looks like Yenisei fighters still able to stand up. He's withstanding a lot of punishment. Of course, a deadlock on the side there, but the question is how much more of the weight and strikes that the Yenisei fighter can take. It looks like the Night Master is already involved there. I think it's looking to check the safety of the armour. More than anything else, you can see how worn out that Yenisei fighter is. Just a moment of adjustment called for by the Night Marshal, who looks happy to continue the fight. And yes, despite taking all that weight and punishment, the Yenisei fighter is still standing, taking all that. If it does go to a third round, you can't see him being involved in that one. That's a good strike that comes in right in the centre. This is a nice movement from C.R.M and a great kick there. So trying to swipe balance of the Yenisei fighter. And still a lot of energy with the C.R.M fighters as Yenisei go down to 3 fighters. Looks like there is a C.R.M fighter down now, so it's 4 against 2. And again, the longer they keep this going, the more difficult it will be if they go to the 3rd round. However, in the right off Yenisei and the sheer weight of the clinches and the strikes coming down is starting to take its toll on both of the teams. It looks like there is maybe an armour failure there, which means that I've gone 2-1 and C.R.M take the 2nd round. This will therefore go to a 3rd and final round.
Buhurt Prime, Monaco. Et une dernière fois, chers spectateurs, on fait du bruit pour tous ces combattants qui vous ont offert un magnifique spectacle. Et on les applaudit bien fort. C'était le Buhurt Prime 2019 in Monaco.
So, very fitting that the final of Buhurt Next goes to a third round. These two phenomenal teams who have demonstrated their level of fitness with the stamina, and of course their strategy, which has been solid throughout. More so, I have to say, with C.R.M. Again, a slower start, but it's to be expected at this point, because in the third and final round, any marginal slip, speaking of slips, could be costly. And again, you see somebody who've returned to the strikes of the pole arms. Not so many this time, so in fact it's interesting that the two runners have clinched. The Yenisei fighter wanting to give away a little less, and it's an interesting way that they've changed now. The C.R.M. fighters teaming up there, and it's a breakaway again, going straight into the corner. The attempted leg sweep, I don't think they're going to get through that straight away. Of course, with that pole arm, there'll be no strikes there, however they can hit. And again, you can see some teamwork typical of Club Bern, whereby they actually protect their teammate in front with the shield. Of course, you can see the C.R.M. fighters with that buckler on the shoulder of his teammate to maintain that close contact. That's some strikes coming in. That pole-arm fighter being able to use his fist to return the strikes. So, cautious at this part of the third and final round. Still, we might see a breakaway at some point. Well, you can see the Yenisei fighter, in fact, start moving away from his teammate, maybe trying to separate the C.R.M. fighters. Very well spread out, so if there is a breakaway, we'll have to cover some distance. So interesting that these C.R.M. fighters have forced back into the Yenisei corner, and there is a break already. However, that's a loose fighter, which could be dangerous. But that was well thought out. The Yenisei fighter unlucky not to get there, and it's very, very close there. No mistake from the C.R.M. fighter. Clinches again, however, fighters are much closer to each other in the far corner. And we'll see what levels of teamwork will pay off. That's a nice evasive underhook from the C.R.M. fighter. I'm going to say, however, forcing him down a bit, though there is that loose halberdier for C.R.M. Every time the Yenisei buckler wielder there strikes, he looks around. Let's see, will we get it? Oh, that's a big strike there, huge strike from the C.R.M. halberdier. That's caused some pain for the NSC fighter who went down hard after that big hit. So now it's opened out somewhat, and the aggression coming from the C.R.M fighters. I think the NSC have been caught off this. It's now 2 down. C.R.M in control of this at the moment. I think they're going to use that elbow to good effect. Striking down hard, but the strikes are coming big, and already there's 2 of them have gone down there. It's a double takedown in the middle. C.R.M still with an advantage. Well, at this point, these have understandably slowed down. I'm not sure if in fact this has been called or if it's just a break. I think it's just a break. Or, I'm not sure if that's actually it. So there it is. C.R.M are crowned the winners of Buhurt Next.
Итак, этот долгий день подошел к концу. Турнир Buhurt Next завершился, и теперь мы знаем имя чемпионов. И это C.R.M и капитан Евгений Баранов, наверное, очень хочет поделиться с нами своей радостью.
Да, здравствуйте, дорогие зрители. Мы на самом деле счастливы. Это было для нас очень неожиданно тяжело. Мы думали, все будет гораздо легче. К сожалению, очень сложно драться с своими одноклубниками, потому что ты каждый раз, ты его бьешь, думаешь, попал ему больно, не больно, сможет ли он после удара выходить, снова воевать. Но, тем не менее, это спорт. В спорте все, как мы знаем, равны, поэтому, как бы нам это ни нравилось, но мы это делаем. Это было тяжело, оттого это как бы еще более приятно, потому что это была победа непроходная, заслуженная. Что здесь получилось самое главное для меня, я не знаю, это или уровень бойцов команды, потому что очень быстро растут, очень сильно прогрессируют. Если мы будем сравнивать даже такие отрезки там, становления в 2012-2010 году, прошло 10 лет, я вижу, что если раньше любой боец из России, Беларуси мог выйти один, победить целую пятерку соперников, особо не напрягаясь, то теперь, как видите, все не так. Да, здесь это Buhurt Next, это 10-й, да, не 11-й, 21 места. Это не самый-самый топ-уровень, но тем не менее, это первая двадцатка сильнейших команд мира. Я думаю, Buhurt Prime будет гораздо интереснее, динамичнее. Поэтому приглашаю вас вместе с Ириной, как главным пиар-менеджером этого мероприятия, смотреть нашу трансляцию. Может быть, даже захочет приехать к нам в Монако. Мы всем рады. Все, спасибо за внимание.
Евгений, а если у вас цель попасть в первую десятку в следующем году и отправиться в Buhurt Prime уже с командой?
Есть, но это, опять-таки, это спорт, тренировки, турниры, победы, только так. Даже мне не получается проникнуть туда нечестно. Вот так. Это можно вырезать потом.
Хорошо, спасибо. Мы оставляем Евгения, отправляем его к команде и готовиться к церемонии награждения, которая начнется же вот буквально через несколько минут.
Уберберн.
So Buhurt League managers prepared special gifts for all the participants of the very first edition of Buhurt Next. They are branded caps with the logo of Buhurt Next tournament. So you can see that you can see them on the guys wearing them. Подождите секунду. Do you have the list? So, Team Ursus Custodes also get their special branded Buhurt Next caps, and each team got the certificate from Buhurt League managers. Ursus Custodes got the 8th place at Buhurt Next. Well, I think they're pretty happy with the results. As you can see, Lions of Steel from Netherlands are on the list for the moment, ready to get their special Buhurt Next caps, as well as the diploma for the 7th place they took at this tournament. So let's greet guys from the Netherlands. So Team Carcassonne from France are ready to get the diploma for the 6th place of the Buhurt Next tournament, as well as their personal branded caps with the Buhurt Next logo on it. Here we can see the heroes from Poland, from the team Legenda Poldnazi, who got the 5th place at this tournament, and we can see that they're pretty happy with the result. Team Martell is on the 4th place today, And actually, the fight for the third place was one of the most welcomed by the local audience. Of course, we are in France, so Martell did a good job. And we remember that last year they were participants of Buhurt Prime. Well, we'll see what's going on this season. Well, before we start greeting the top 3 teams of the tournament, there is time for special individual awards. For example, Audience Award People's Choice got Adrien Cessa from Team Carcassonne, and it is a very good result. One more individual award goes to Ronan de Grange, the team captain, the captain of Team Martell. Ronan got the Most Valuable Fighter award today at Buhurt Next tournament. So, and the bronze of the Buhurt Next tournament goes to Bear Cubs team from Russia, representatives of Bear Club. Our congratulations to the guys. It is a really good result for the very first year of Buhurt Next tournament. And as you can see, the Cups of Buhurt Next have much in common with the Cups of Buhurt Prime last year. It's time to greet silver medalist of the Buhurt Next tournament, and it is the youngest team from Russia, Yenisei, also from Bern Club. Let's greet the guys. They did a really good job. it's time for the champions of Buhurt Next tournament. And this title of the very first edition of Buhurt Next got C.R.M, team from Belarus, also the representatives of Bern Club. Let's greet the guys. It was a really great tournament, and according to the captain Evgeny Baranov, all the fights were tough and it wasn't easy for him. So the victory is even more valuable then. Ваши идеи. Вот, давай на фоне них всех. So it was a long day, full of joy, full of defeats, full of victories and surprises. But unfortunately, Buhurt Next tournament is over. Thank you very much for staying with us all these hours. Thank you, and see you at Buhurt Prime, February 15th in Monaco.